right. What's going on, everybody? Heavy Metal Hotep back again with another one for y'all. How y'all doing today? Hope everybody's having a good night. Had a great day. All right, so so for the giveaway, right? The winners. So I said I would announce them on the 6th. We're announcing them tonight. I wanted to give you guys an extra day to basically enter, right? Kind of wanted to make sure that people had, so you know how some people like to do last minute stuff, right? People wait till the last minute. We talked about procrastination. Check that episode out if you haven't already. I believe that was the last. I think that was the last episode we did. Either that or the episode before that. But anyway, damn, what are we doing here? Start a pause. Ooh, 1 second, y'all. Interesting. All right. Anyway. All right. So anyway, y'all. So the winner for the Max Axiom children's book set / graphic novel, right? Well, the 24 book set, right? Let's see here. Is okay, Veronica Valentine. So if you're watching this video as it's live, or whenever you're watching it, you can hit me up on IG, you could hit me up on Messenger, on Facebook, or even on here. You can DM me on those social media platforms. Either way, I'll reach out to you, let you know that you won. So yeah, congratulations. And we'll talk about how we're gonna get that either mailed to you. If I'm not mistaken, you're not you're not very far, so getting the book set to you should not be an issue. Right. So, and it's cool too because I know that can at least go to a kid that I'm sure they'll be excited to get that, right? Like I'm sure they're gonna see that. And I don't know if you guys have checked out the books yourselves or if you know about them, but there's some really cool books, man. They're like some really cool books. They look really cool. The art on them is really dope. It's a good thing to draw kids into reading, I think. So I remember when I was younger, like I used to love reading, and with all the technology and everything, that's not so much the case now, so I get it. But I think that these books are, and it's about science, so they're learning something too, right? They're not just learning reading comprehension, but they're also learning about science, and maybe they're not too into it, but that might actually help them probably like it a bit more. Maybe they'll do better in school, gaining these different types of knowledge in different fields. Like there's a book about sound. There's a book, I believe, about the human body too. Also, hope the audio is good today, right? Shout out to my coworker George, man. He hooks your boy up with a mic, right? We were he was gonna let me use his until I got the one that I was planning on buying. But I guess according to what he told me, like the cord probably wasn't like native to like a more modern computer, so he hooked me up with another mic instead that I could use for my streams. And I think it's dope. And I really hope. Let me check the audio levels real quick, and it looks like it's looking good, right? And I can only hope that, yeah, we're doing good. I can only hope that the audio sounds a lot better? I would imagine it does, rather than, using no proper mic at all and just using, the crappy one that came with the computer. You feel me? So that's definitely good, I can't wait to actually play this back and listen to it and really, like, obviously I went in there, download some plugins and stuff and, you know, did the damn thing with tweaking it. So I think it looks like the connection's good. All right, word. All right, so let's get into it, right? So about taking breaks, right? Um, Basically, a lot of us tend to get like really focused on, whatever task we're doing, and we're so like, a lot of the things we've been talking about up to this point, whether it be perseverance, learning from your mistakes, all these different things that motivate you to do the things that you want to do. It's gotten to the point where I think it's time to talk about taking a break. Because if you have been watching, these episodes, from episode 1 over, on Facebook and everything over to up to now episode 7. I honestly think that if you've been listening to the things I've been saying and you've really been taking them in, or you've been relating to how these are some possible solutions to achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve, I think now it's probably an important time to talk about, taking breaks and why that's important. Because if you're doing all these things, and you're really like, holding yourself, holding fast to basically staying strong through different things that you're trying to, work through or achieve, and get done or build towards, right? It's, you might forget, hey, maybe I should take a little rest. You don't want to tire yourself out, like you just want to make sure that you're in your best state while you're trying to accomplish these things, while you're there, you know what I'm saying, in the trenches, while you're there doing the work. You want to make sure that you're at your best so you can output your best work. You feel me? And we're going to get into, like the little nuances in that particularly. So I would say one of the number one reasons, right? As to why you would want to make sure that you're taking your breaks, you're taking it easy, you're not going super hard and not resting. You don't want to mess yourself up, right? You want to avoid getting burned out. You want to make sure that you're still, excuse me, you want to make sure that you're still, at in a good enough state to make sure you're, doing your best work possible, doing the best you can. And you can't expect to really do the best you can when your half of you is basically like dead tired, you got to make sure that you don't go so hard that you're now essentially working against yourself, right? Essentially your body and minus tongue, you're not listening. So it's sitting there getting drained, right? But you're in the middle of you still working. So now you're not doing as well as you probably could or know you could. And if you start noticing, you're going to start wondering what's going on. And more than likely that's, burnout or fatigue from just constantly, just keeping it going, constantly just working and not really taking the time to rest or relax or, clear your mind and just open it up to more positive vibes. Well, hold on, y'all. Let me see something real quick. Of course they will, because that is... One second, y'all. Let's see. Interesting. Interesting. So one, two. Oh shit. Okay. All right. Let's just keep it at that. See how. I'm really trying to make this video quality better. Because like when I say video quality, I don't mean this. I mean just the buffering, right? I'm talking about like making sure that oh shit, yeah. Making sure that the shit just continuously runs smoothly. Like, I'm trying to maybe turn down the bit rate. That should help. I mean, the quality itself is looking good. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with why it's like buffering so much. Hold on 1 second, y'all. We're gonna get back to it in 1 second. That's all correct. Yeah. Could be. Hopefully that makes it better, man. All right. So essentially what you want to do, right? Um good. Oh, oh boy. Oh boy. You still on? YouTube saying they might cut the stream. Hopefully that doesn't happen. If not, I will be right back. And we'll continue where we left off. But for now, we're just gonna keep it going, all right? So essentially, you want to make sure that you are always at your best, right? Mentally, and obviously that's easier said than done, right? But you want to make sure that you're always at your best mentally, and physically when trying to achieve different goals, right? Short term or long term. And if you're not making sure that you're taking care of yourself, if you're not making sure that that you are making sure you're giving your mind and your body the time to rest so it can be replenished and it can, come back at full strength, 100% essentially, then you won't operate at 100%. You feel me? Like, it's super important to remember that going into a state of burnout and you start to notice, and sometimes you won't notice right away, right? So I think it's important to continuously be conscious of that. But even if that's not the case at the time, right? Listen to what your mind is telling you and what your body is telling you when it tells you it's time to take a rest or a break. Sorry about that, yo. So you gotta like make sure that you listen to your mind and your body and understand when it's time to take a break. That you listen, like, and that doesn't mean, I'm not talking about like, say if you're working out, right? You want to stop so bad, and your body's like, no more reps, and you're thinking like, I can do one more. I'm not necessarily talking about that, right? I'm talking about when it's like serious, like, let's say you know that you've done a good job at the gym, right? But then you keep going, and you're not thinking about, okay, I've already done a great job here, and I push myself even more, and now I'm going to go even more. It might be time, even if you come back to it, right? It might be time to, take a little 10-15 minute break. And, we'll get into like how it can be a long or short break in a second, but even in that, it's still important to take breaks. Like even when you think about gym routines, when you're doing reps, or however many sets of those you're doing, at the end of the day, you still have, even if it's like a 30-second rest, right? When you think about like these different classes you might take at the gym, they have their little 30-second, 10-second rest or whatever, right? And the reason for that is because it's important. If you just power through it all together, I mean, if you can do that, that's great, right? You might want to up what you're doing, right? If you could power through something and not start to mess your body up, you might want to, up it a little bit, right? I like that. That's just my opinion, right? Because that's what I do for myself. If I feel like this is starting to get a little easier, as I go on. Anyway, that's besides the point. At the end of the day, all right. So we're looking. Yeah, this is looking a lot better. Cool, cool, cool. All right. So, what you want to make sure that you're doing is just essentially giving yourself the time to recover, right? And when I say recover, I mean specifically you want to make sure that you're staying at your best, and make sure that essentially you are always at 100%, or even at least even 95, right? That's still good. But at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that you're able to put forth your best effort. You want to make sure that you're able to know and not second guess that. Am I doing my best? No, you're doing your best because you can feel it, right? You know when you're doing your best better than anyone, essentially, right? Now you can trick yourself into thinking that you are and you're not. But if you're being honest with yourself, you'll know, right? So as far as taking breaks go, right? Maybe you're on a big project or something, and you've been working really hard at it, right? Maybe you got a test to study for, and you're studying. You don't want to run your mind into the ground studying from the time that you start to the day of the test, or you don't want to just continue working on the project and not really taking the time to rest or taking breaks all the way up until it's due, right? I mean, you do run the risk of maybe not putting out the best ideas because you're so fatigued mentally from just, this project or studying with this test. Essentially, you want to make sure that when you take you do take these breaks, that way you can come back fresh, right? And that's the general idea. You want to come back fresh, and when you do, you'll be doing your best work because you're at your best, right? So another reason, that's really another reason why it's important to take breaks, is because you want to remain at your best and putting your best foot forward. That way you're putting your best work forward, right? And you'll notice that a lot of people that see, success and achievement, even if they've worked super hard to get where they are, not, there's no denying that, right? Sacrifices and all that. They've taken breaks, and when I don't mean they just stopped, right? Like they just stopped doing what they were doing, necessarily in the sense that they kind of gave in, not necessarily gave up, but just kind of gave in. I mean, I'm saying, basically they've had days where they decided, all right, well, I am going to have dinner with my family. We're going to go out. Or, I am going to go through, going out with some colleagues, and, we're going to go to, a bar or something, or a restaurant, and just have a good time, have some drinks. It's okay to let loose. You feel me? Like, it's almost like you could say, if you reward, you allow yourself to do these things that could be considered, leisure, in your leisure time, because of how hard you worked. You can, I would say, you could argue that you could create a system where it's like, okay, if I get X amount of work done, right, at this time, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to allow myself to maybe go hang out with said friend, right? Or I'm going to allow myself to play this video game for, X amount of time, and then I'm going to go back to what I'm doing. Or let's say it's on a Friday, right? And you're like, okay, I'm gonna continue what I'm doing and working, and then if I get get to this little point in my work, short term goal, I'm going to allow myself to go out this Saturday, right? And hang out with some people, right? Go to like Dave and Buster's or whatever. And at the end of the day, right? That will motivate you to, and it's easy to just kind of be like, I'll go to it later. We also talked about procrastination, and then you end up saying, well, I kind of got to do this, so I'm just going to go ahead and figure that out, and then I'll come back to it. Well, it's getting kind of late, so maybe I'll just do it, some other time. You got to hold yourself, and be honest with yourself. You got to hold yourself accountable. You got to be honest with yourself in that, okay, I know that I'm doing this amount of work, and it's helping me get to completing this task or this goal or what have you. I've gotten to this point. I'm starting to feel, my brain's starting to, feel a little fatigued just from doing this. I'm gonna stop now, come back to it later, or come back to it tomorrow. Tonight, I'm gonna go out, do this. Tonight, I'm gonna read this book I've been, trying to get through. And it could be anything, whatever it is that you do to enjoy yourself. It's important. Hell, it could just be even just taking a nap, right? It could be sleeping, It could really be like essentially something simple to something more planned and, maybe involving more people, right? But at the end of the day, you'll notice that even these people that like these CEOs of these Fortune 500 companies, whatever you believe, I can almost guarantee you that they have, in different times, whether it be a project they're working on or whatever, have stepped away from it for a little bit to get their mind back to where it needs to be to output these great ideas and these great products. You know what I'm saying? Like writer's block, for instance, right? A lot of people who write, whether it be poetry, whether it be, lyrics or whatever, sometimes they do have to step away from it for a second, especially if they've been writing like crazy, right? Sometimes they have to step away from it. Go for a walk, right? Do something, where, and I wouldn't say look for inspiration necessarily. Take your mind off of your work just for that time. And a lot of at least in my experiences, and I have seen this with other people too, a lot of times what ends up happening is that they like end up getting like an idea all of a sudden, right? Or their writer's block is like done because now they're not just firing off these different ideas and different, things, or, oh, I can now take this line and put it with this. I found something that I can put with the lyric or the line of poetry, line of my poem that came before it. A lot of times, even when you do that, it can really help you get to the point of being able to come back and continue what you're doing. Even sometimes way better than you were when you left it, or even when you started, right? Or in the middle of it. So you'll find that with like a lot of people. Don't think that like a lot of these successful people out there, they never took a break. They never, maybe some of them, maybe. But I would highly doubt that most of them are, probably not even all of them, but even most of them. Highly doubt that even most of them didn't do the things they need to do to make sure that they were always outputting their best work, and taking a break and coming back fresh and replenished, whether it be mentally, physically, or even both. And so, like, these things that you choose to do, they can be something like small, right? Like playing a video game. It could be something more, like something small to something big, right? Where get a group of friends together, you guys, I don't go to a theme park, you guys have lunch, right? You have each other over, have like some type of dinner party or something like that, right? it doesn't have to be anything like super complex. It doesn't have to be anything like super simple. It can be both and everything in between. It can be just taking a power nap, going to sleep, coming back to it the next day, so anything like that. And, it can be something more planned out for like the next week or something, right? Or the next weekend. So be careful not to overcomplicate it and think that like it has to be something like super huge. Pause. Or something like, has to be really, really like finite and personal. It can be if that's what you want to do, but it doesn't have to be, is my point, right? So these things could be, you know, kind of already touched on this. Essentially, like it could be long to short. Um, but again, like I said before, it doesn't really have to be either or, right? It doesn't have to be this one or that one, right? It doesn't have to be that. It could be either one of those as far as how you decide to take a break. It could be more grandiose. It could just be, you know, sitting down and chilling for 15, 20 minutes. But at the end of the day, when you do that, you will be putting forth your best work, because you'll end up coming back better, right? You'll end up essentially being refreshed. And we kind of like all through this episode so far, we kind of touched on this, but essentially just making sure that you're coming back and you're being refreshed and ready to basically get back to it, right? You want to make sure that you're essentially at 100%. Ideally, you want to be at 100%. Hell, 110%. All in all, you want to make sure that you are as if you didn't even do it, like you're just getting to it just now. So with all these great ideas and these different types of reasons and types of motivation to get to this task or goal or whatever it is that you're trying to do. And once taking breaks will help you do that and help you stay sharp and stay fresh. And essentially, you're going to see that you're putting out great work, right? You're putting out quality work, essentially. And you'll notice that because in the moment that you're working, it won't feel as draining. It won't feel as tiring. You'll notice that while you're doing these things that like it may be taking less of a toll on your mind because you started fresh, or it's taking less of a toll on your body because you started fresh, So all in all, doing that, at the end of the day, you're gonna thank yourself, right? You're going to understand that this is something that's very much a part of accomplishing things and striving towards your goals. Not working is definitely a part of making sure that you're doing your best and making sure that you're giving your best, you're giving your all. And because you have your all to give, you can't give your all if you don't have your all to give. Essentially, if you're not mentally there, all there, or physically all there, how can you possibly give your best? So that's going to do it for tonight's episode, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and again, I gotta remember to do this at the beginning, maybe in the middle, but both. But please, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, people. Make sure you turn on post notifications, and also, follow me on IG, right? Follow me on Facebook. Actually, my IG should be there. It is, right? There we go. Yeah, make sure y'all follow me on IG. You can also find me on Facebook. You type in Heavy Metal Hotep, my page will come right up. I'm back on Twitter. as well. Just follow me on there. My Twitter is Slipknot of VHS88. Um, I know it's not very long. It's down there in the description below. So you can just copy and paste it, type it in, whatever you want to do. But yeah, again, I